Ever wondered why your avoidant ex seems totally fine after this breakup, but weeks later, they reappear, as if they've missed you? But in your mind, you're thinking, was it real? Can I trust them? What shall I do? After all those weeks when I was crying and distressed, desperate to know what they were up to? You see, when you have an avoidant attachment style, the way you process breakups is fundamentally different than other people. And I used to be dismissive avoidant, and in this video, I'm going to share with you what's going on in our freaking mind. Now, the thing is, I'm also a therapist. And the point of this video is not only to explain what's going on, but also to give you practical tools that you can implement to gain clarity. I'm going to share with you at the end of the video the protocol, the strategies that I use with my clients to create what I call a secure base. And this secure base is the foundation of the right relationship. It could be with this person, with this ex, with someone else, but that will fundamentally change how you design your love life and how you can regain a sense of control. I'll explain everything after the jingle. So yes, they seem fine. They seem totally fine. When you look at their social media, when you ask friends, no, nothing to report. They go silent, because when you have an avoidant attachment style, this is how you deal with problems. You basically don't deal with the problems. You disappear, you stay on your own, and that's how you deal with problems. And so from the outside, it feels like they moved on, right? They forgot you. That's why it's so hard to understand, and it's so hard to feel after everything that we had, how can they disappear? It's not that you didn't care, it's more that it is how they deal with problem. Now, the interesting thing is there's something deeper, and they're not necessarily aware that there's something deeper. This was part of my journey at becoming more secure, is that I realized, it took me years, I realized after a while that there's something deeper happening. And that was taking decisions for me. It was creating fear where I shouldn't be scared of intimacy or connection with my partners. Avoidants don't process like you. The way they process is actually by suppressing. So in a way, we think that we're dealing with a situation when actually we're just pushing it outside, right? Emotions, well, situations, well, difficult conversation, well, we push them on the side, we dismiss things. And so the distance is what helps them to regulate the nervous system. Is it a healthy way to deal with things? No, but that's their way. That's what they've learned, right? And so for them, out of sight, out of pain. And we usually in relationships, we make all decisions based on what makes us feel safe. Yes, feelings, chemistry, and so on. But the reason you guys broke up is not because of a lack of feelings or chemistry or compatibility, is because somehow he or she felt not safe in this relationship. And somehow you also, because they're avoidant, felt unsafe in this relationship. And that's why, and I'll explain at the end, it's important to build that secure base first, and then you can assess whether this relationship is right for you. If you're watching this and wondering if you have any chance of getting back with your ex, or even if it's the right thing to do, I've created a free assessment that gives you clarity. It's based on attachment science, and it will show you whether your ex is still emotionally engaged, if reconnection is possible, and how ready you are mentally and emotionally. What you have to do is just answer a few questions, and you'll get a personalized breakdown within 2 minutes. You can find the link of this assessment below in the description. The Phantom Ex. It's a concept that is described in the book Attached that I would recommend you to buy after you buy my book. I'm kidding. It's a really good book if you want to make sense of attachment-related problems. The theory is what triggers avoidant people is closeness, is emotional intimacy. So when you break up with someone, you don't have that. What's left of the relationship is the happy moments, is the chemistry, is your personality. And so the way they would process the breakup after a while is that they would start idealizing the relationship. And the Phantom X is this idea of often avoidance, they start a new relationship and they compare this new person with their ex. They idealize the ex because the ex is no longer creating a sense of pressure because that person is gone. So that's usually what happens with an avoidant. They start idealizing the relationship a little bit after, not right after the breakup. And that's the massive difference between people who have an anxious attachment style and people who have an avoidant attachment style. We'll discuss that in a second. Is the way and the timing. There's a delay in how they process things. Now, there's something you need to understand. 5 very important elements on this. It is not about you. You have to remember this, that it's not about you. 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 I just wanted to repeat this many times because I'm pretty sure that over the last few days, perhaps few weeks, you've ruminated on the fact that it was about you. Nothing to do about you. It's about how they perceive pressure, intimacy in a relationship. And I'm pretty sure if you look at their other relationships, they probably behave the same way. So it's not about you. Of course, there are things you can change and adapt, and the whole point of the secure base is trying to repair what's broken. Because again, in the context of anxious avoidant relationship, we're not trying to revive feelings. We are trying to repair, the attachment bond between two partners. So it's not about you. Again, they didn't leave you. They left the pressure. They left the closeness. That element of intimacy is overwhelming. Again, they are pushing people back, pushing you back. It feels like rejection, but for them, it's more of like, no, I need to be on my own. That's how I process things. And they probably told you how much you're important, that they care, etc., etc. But the fear, again, this element of safety, people make decisions based on fear. Fear is louder. So if you're scared of intimacy, if you're scared of commitment, and you haven't really done the work and you are not communicating effectively with your partner, this will always hijack the overall dynamic of the relationship. What happens is, at some stage, they will feel lonely. So it's not because you're avoidant that you enjoy necessarily 24/7 being on your own. It's just, I need my space, but I also want to be connected with people. When you have an avoidant attachment style, you basically suppress the need that we all have to be attached to a primary attachment figure. And so, again, when they're on their own, this is where their need to be attached will resurface. Their regrets will resurface. This is where they will crave connection. Because in the first place, nobody forced them to date you, right? They wanted to be with you in that relationship. So the same driver will reappear. The only thing is they want safety. I've said this word many times, but it's really about safety. And so what you have to understand and how to shift a little bit, how to reframe things, so you stop being anxious and feeling responsible because it's not about you. This idea of them being cold, them being distant, it's basically they emotionally delay things. You see, if we had to do 2 graphs, the anxious partner feels a lot and then they work on themselves. If they don't, they stay at the top. If they work on themselves, they manage to calm their nervous system down. Avoidant, they're fine, totally fine at the beginning, but after a while, they will start experiencing the loss. And so that's why you're not going to be forgotten. And at some stage, if the relationship mattered, so again, that's why it's important for you to assess the relationship properly. If the relationship mattered, they will be curious about what you're up to. They would want, in a way, for you guys to repair what's broken. So what to do if they return, or what to do actually if you want to reach out to them. Don't over-explain. Don't chase. I know there's a lot of things you want to discuss with them. This is not the right time. It will see it as a staircase that you climb step by step. The way to ensure that you don't pressure them is to mirror their pace, is to follow their lead. And that's where it's really about having the right system in place. When you can assess it's mutual, and the only way for you to assess that it's mutual is that you are the secure person in the room. And that implies you having a resilient emotional regulation system. In other words, this phase, when you're going to be in touch with him, will be triggering. And it's your role to manage your emotions, because your emotions will dictate how you behave, right? And I don't want you to be in a situation where you break no contact or they reach out to you, you're not emotionally prepared, and you say things or you do things that you later regret. Because that's what happens usually when you don't have this system in place. Then it's about the secure working model. So it's basically reframing how you decide to see relationship, intimacy, this element of safety, needing your partner, etc., etc. So if you have an anxious attachment style and you're trying to repair a relationship with an avoidant attachment style, it won't work if you're not secure. And the idea is for you to lean towards secure, and for them, after you re-engage, you repair together, they lean towards secure. My theory is that everybody's insecure. And so some people are a little bit less insecure, and this is not a theory, but this attachment style are something that evolve. So it's not because you grew up with an anxious attachment style that you end up with an anxious attachment style. Otherwise I wouldn't have a job. And so this idea of like, you create the movement because you're watching this video, you want to learn, you want to work on yourself, and this is amazing and well done to you. And then you create the conditions to really assess whether it's mutual. And this is why also when you work on your working models, you improve your self-confidence and self-esteem, because usually people who have an anxious attachment style, they have lower self-esteem. And after a breakup, that self-esteem is even lower. So it's important to use that space, maybe if you're still in no contact, for a month or two, working with a therapist, with your coach, or whoever qualified and you can trust can help you to build those systems, those three elements, if you want to reconnect and repair this relationship. What's really important is to take care of yourself. The idea is to rebuild something. It's not about resuming where you guys left it. It's about rebuilding things from inside out. Also understand that if you miss them or if they missed you, that doesn't necessarily mean that this is enough for a right relationship. This is why you need to do the work, so you can make that decision whether this time would be the right relationship for you. If they regret, if they are sad, if they are crying, if they beg you, okay, fair enough. This is a good start. That's not enough. You deserve more. You deserve a relationship that makes you feel alive, a relationship where you don't have to shrink, where you don't have to apologize, where you don't have to please people to be accepted. And it's very important to assess this properly, because I don't want you to get back with them just because for the sake of getting back with them. It doesn't make sense. And again, I'm a dismissive avoidant, and there's nothing wrong for them being dismissive avoidant. However, if they're not willing to invest, if they're not willing to give you what you deserve, then next, move on with your life, move forward, and you'll find, after you've done the work, the right relationship. If that was helpful, let me know in the comment section if you have any questions as well. If you want to support, you can like this video and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Take care.